I'm Marjorie Strong. I'm the assistant librarian at the Vermont Historical Society. I actually was the archivist at the Archives of Barrie History for 5 years before that, so I got involved in Barrie history for a pretty long term. I think that the employment in Barrie before the granite industry was very traditional. It was very agricultural. It had the typical industries here. There was a woolen mill, that's pretty common at that period. There was a sash factory. There was lumber going on. It was a traditional Vermont village. It had been settled pretty heavily because the downtown sort of lent itself to that. It had a lot of water, which allowed a lot of mills. Then, when the railroad came through in 1875, that opened up Barrie to other industries, and it was predominantly granite after that. The granite industry actually has two parts to it, though, and a lot of people forget that. Quarrying is one aspect, and it's very specialized, and the other side is the carving and the manufacture of objects out of the granite. The granite quarries are on the outskirts of town. They're actually in Barrie town, not in Barrie City, which is the downtown area. And so they had to be transported down because the granite industry needs a lot of water for the manufacture of granite. So the downtown was the logical area. Also, that's where the railroad was. So these two things came together. So downtown, there were a lot of people carving. And they discovered quickly that quarrying is one thing, it's pretty basic labor, but carving is a highly skilled kind of occupation. So the first thing they did was get Scots to come. First of all, they were good at quarrying. They spoke English, they were easy to import. There was Scots already in the state. Reigate is a big Scottish community, which isn't too far from here. So they imported them from Aberdeen mainly, which is a granite area, and they tend to quarry and carve architectural objects. Then, as they got more into the monument building, because Barrie granite is really, really good for monuments, it's very fine, so it carves up nicely into monuments, they discovered they needed art. So they imported Italians, mostly from Carrara initially, and then from Milan and northern Italy, which is a granite area, because Carrara is mainly marble, and Milan is granite. So, and there are two different ways of carving. So they imported a large number of Italians. And then as Barrie got the reputation, people from all over the world who lived in granite belts came here. So there are Germans, Spanish, Scandinavians, a lot from Finns actually came, and a lot of French Canadians also. There is granite in Quebec as well, so they came down. It worked very well. There have been some massive strikes over labor and various issues, but on the whole, it's been very good for the town, except that it is a single industry, and that's very hard on a town with ups and downs. So right now we're in a slump, and there have been various slumps at different times. I think other industries that have moved in have been pretty peripheral to are related to the granite industry. Tool making is a big one. There are a couple of fairly major tool making companies that make granite carving tools. Recently there was Bombardier, which actually made trains, which is kind of related in an odd way. They are not here anymore, but for a period there, they liked the skilled labor here because it's pretty good at using tools and it's pretty educated in manufacturing. So, but it's been pretty much a one-industry town since about the 1880s. I think it differs. Rutland has been a one-industry town too, marble, but that was a company town. It was pretty much one particular company. Barrie was different because at one point it had over 100 different manufacturing companies. If you had the tools and a small shed, you could start your own business very easily. Up until 1938, there was no official policy on dust collection. One of the strikes actually, and that's what is kind of interesting, is the 1906 strike was about that. It wasn't about wages. It was about the introduction of a new piece of machinery that they felt caused too much dust and was lethal. So that strike happened. I think they actually didn't use that piece of equipment. the granite workers were pretty aware that this was going on. The companies tended to deny it. There were studies linking silicosis to TB and saying that it was the workers' hygiene and not the company's fault. But if you listen to the oral histories, it's really clear that if you went to a shed, you couldn't see, and that the workers came out looking like ghosts afterwards. The individual workers would set up their own dust collection, attempts at dust collection, and in the Granite Cutters Journal, which is the labor, the union journal, there would be actually designs for that that people would publish so that people could do it. And there's some photographs we have of some of the individual dust collection. But it wasn't until 1938 that they actually had the official law went through that forced the companies to put, basically shed-wide dust collection. And the silicosis, the deaths from silicosis dropped phenomenally. If you go to the cemeteries here in town, especially Hope, you will see the graves and you'll see the death dates for people, and you discover that mostly they lived to be 45 or 50, and that was the lifespan of a carver. The other thing that happened was that the carvers would basically make sure that their children did not go into the industry, so that they had to keep importing new workers who had the skills that they needed, because the children of the actual workers who were here generally did not go into the industry because of the death rate.